It looks like we're on the
Oh,
way.
we're off.
So, MetaLow's gonna go to Quickman, Kammesennin gonna go to Metalman. Under normal circumstances, this will probably be the general starting points to go because we got lots of easy to get E-tanks, and if these guys are going Buster only, E-tanks are going to be even more important than ever because they're going to have to be using their busters throughout the entire game.
Now, I have a question, MetaLow. Why did they restrict themselves from using items in Buster only? Or is that just a Kammesennin quirk?
Well, I'm pleased to be compared to MetaLow, but anyway, as far as Buster only runs go, they had to strictly use the Buster for each and every situation. They're not gonna search for weaknesses for anything, even like stuff for searching the wall weakness. All they can really do is just search for wall weakness with the Buster, and can only search for weaknesses if and only if during the situation Buster is not a viable option, and that's gonna play more into account during the Wily stages.
Kammesennin opting to not take that second E-tank in Metalman stage, but gets to the door before MetaLow. So we get to see what's in the boss chamber of Metalman here on these tracks. And we got Bubble.
And Bubbleman's pretty fair standard, while MetaLow has brief running with some chickens on his way to Quick Room.
It's always good to see our runners kind of split, because we get to see what's in the rooms a lot earlier before they do. And Kami gets the Franker's hit, with item number 3 as his reward for choosing Metal first. And Quick being very quick kill here for MetaLow.
Also,
oh, go ahead.
Also trying to keep track with the tracker as well. Hopefully it ends up coming up. But regardless of the matter, it looks like we had some pretty quick fights in Quick Room with Air and Bubble in Metal Room. Meanwhile,
yeah, Air seemed to have been Buster weak there.
So we got Kammesennin going to Soda Lake, while MetaLow's going to our purple encrusted, partially blackened, burnt amber-ish flash stage, maybe, kind of, sort of.
It looks purple, dark red, and white. Bit of a hellscape.
Kammesennin successfully doing the Buster only zip. This is pretty much the only zip you're gonna see in a Buster only match because it doesn't require items to initiate. And Kammesennin, of course, being as good as he is, successfully does it without a problem.
So what's the difference in the bubble zip between Buster only and regular randomizer runners?
Well, between Buster only, you're gonna need to use a successive number of pause buffers in order to make the ceiling, because you get your vertical velocity returned to 0 while your horizontal velocity can continue moving as you get Quickman and Flash Room. Meanwhile, if you're doing it normal and you got a good item 1, you're probably gonna be more than likely to use item 1 to zip, because that's much faster than using a lot of pause buffers.
And we get a very traditional looking woodman here, very vanilla. Kami getting those extra shots in through the shield as MetaLow finishes Quickman in Metal Room. Oh no, Quickman Flash Room, sorry.
So
and
we got
going to Metal now.
Flash Room done in item 1 while...
yeah, so Kami's got a boatload of the items here now. I think that'll definitely give him a little bit of an advantage.
Well, they're not going to be using items. Buster only restricts runners from using the items at all, unless they are forced to use them. Again, which probably going to happen only in the Wily stages, since several stages in them require item use anyway.
Wow, two fan guys and a sniper Joe in this little room.
So we got MetaLow working in on Metal Man stage, which we already saw from Kammesennin, while Kammesennin is going through some new territory going to Woodman stage. Right now, Woodman stage early on was looking pretty clustered with moles, and you saw how clustered it was in the rooms before the Fenders, and you're probably going to see, yep, similar enemies. Fortunately, since they don't need to do zips and buster only, that fat fan will not pose any trouble. If they did zips, that definitely would be an issue.
Hello, opting to pick up that second E-Tank here in Metal Man stage. And doing the pause buffer to get over the larger gap. I think, being that our runners are restricted, getting as many E-Tanks as possible is not a bad strategy.
Mellow handily taking out Bubble Man, who's pretty simple, very high bubble arc, so we don't have to worry about getting hit by the bubbles, which does a surprisingly large amount of damage.
Yeah, I had also noticed that he only shot one at a time, and didn't shoot so many bullets either. His
Mellow
randomized attributes were very beneficial to our runners.
Mellow following suit on Kammesennin going to Woodman, while we find Metal Man in Woodman's boss room.
Ooh. And he's wearing pink, because, you know, real men wear salmon pink.
Well, he's not much of a real man, as he pretty much just went down very quickly with the buster, so not quite as manly as you would think it would be.
Kammesennin heading over here to Flashman. Quickman was at the end of this room. Did Quickman have a weakness, or was he Buster weak? I think he was Buster weak, right?
Well, for all intents and purposes, all robot masters do have a weakness, but if they're susceptible to the buster, we really don't know. Like I said, I'm also kind of working with tracking on the back end as well, so I'm making sure that everything's set on that end. I may miss a few things. Anyway, that said, we're going through familiar territory here. MetaLow going through the Lagfabian portion of the top of the treehouse, while Kammesennin coming down to the final stretches of Flashman stage. We're gonna see if he opts to go for the E-Tank or decides to ignore it and just go straight to Flashman's boss room, where we will have a Quickman battle. Well, never mind, he got knocked out, so that's not even gonna be an issue.
Kammesennin only has one E-Tank so far, right? Or does he have two? No, he has one.
I don't remember him using many.
Getting many. So, I am thinking, if memory serves, maybe... No, it looks like it's only 2 ticks.
Yeah, so we got ourselves a pretty durable Quickman who throws a lot of boomerangs.
Ooh, and Kammesennin getting it out at the end there.
Very lucky. He could not take a hit from anything.
No.
Literally anything. Even a boomerang shot would have killed.
Yeah, I saw that taking 4 down. Moving on over to Heatman. Because it's a buster-only run, I'm assuming that conventionality is completely thrown out the window here, which was why these runs to me are some of the most exciting and fun runs to do. Especially when you have runners as skilled as MetaLow and Kammesennin.
Yeah, when it comes to buster only, order really doesn't matter all that much, since you're gonna go in with the buster and no items. You're pretty much doing things basically all natural, so it's pretty much based on their own general skills in order to get by all the obstacles that are in the way, and hopefully the randomizer being kind to make the enemies,
not
tolerable.
Buster immune. Yeah. And we get to watch them go through the Yoko blocks as well. Not gonna take that item 2 across where most. Ooh, and all these shotmen own. They are all Buster immune. This is going to be a very hard seed for both our runners here.
Yep, they cannot resort to using any weapons at all unless there's a situation that prevents them from progressing. And even in this situation, there is still potential for progress, so they can't use any weapons or items.
Now, how many deaths would you think is acceptable before it's determined that something is not progressible?
Well, that's probably going to depend on the runner, and even and that probably is one of the gray areas about doing Buster only runs, especially in the randomizer, because there could be situations where one may assume that they can't continue and wind up using an item or a weapon to pass through, while there may be another that might be stubborn enough and just brute force it and keep the Buster only rule set on the proper setting. So it's kind of hard to determine something like that.
Kammesennin and MetaLow almost getting into these rooms neck to neck here.
And both of them going to end up facing Crashman. Let's see if we're going to get an aggressive Crashman this seed. Oh my goodness, we might have a brief appearance by one of our favorite friends, good old Dumb Crash.
Dumb Crash, yeah. He forgot what he was doing.
But yeah, one of the interesting quirks about Crashman that he can literally walk back and forth for a good old while before he actually decides to fire another crash bomb. We call those dumb crashes. I have another little thing I usually call them, but it's not really PG, so we're just gonna skip that.
I'll accept that. I had a couple of thoughts in mind myself that I thought maybe not the best place to say. So, one thing I have noticed is that, Kammesennin, what was it, when, I'm losing my train of thought here.
Ooh,
You know what?
The excess lag. The
Oh.
Metroids are real notorious in stages like this because of that. When you get like more than 3 Metroids on the screen and have all other enemies and extra sprites along the area, it extends the knockback so drastically far, and the result is seeing what Kammesennin experienced, a nice long fall to, an early grave.
Thankfully, the Metroids are Buster weak, so one-shot kills.
That was a nasty position for that shot, man. One bad
Yeah.
jump and Kammesennin would have got plucked off.
As MetaLow goes in Bubble Man stage here, I'm trying to remember who it was. It was Woodman. Average run-of-the-mill Woodman.
Yeah, this looks like a really easy one, man. Really slow falling leaves, so the shield won't come up as fast.
Now, do you think that's physics-oriented, or do you think that that's just randomizer-oriented?
That's definitely randomizer oriented.
And MetaLow joining Kammesennin on Airman stage. Basically, he did pick up the lead that Kammesennin had. I saw him make a quick work in Heatman stage, where Kami had to struggle and use an E-tank.
Trying to recall if I accidentally entered a Robot Master wrong. Trying to keep pace with this and trying to maintain the tracker is hard work.
Oh yeah, it is. You mean you're wondering if Kami did Quickman already?
Oh no, I'm mostly talking about MetaLow's end. But but that's beside the point. We see item 2 in Airman stage.
Once again, not too much help here, but as we enter the black beams of Quickman.
Yeah, we saw MetaLow already do this stage first, so we know that this stage wasn't much of a roadblock to him, so I'm not expecting it to be a roadblock to Kammesennin as well. MetaLow slowly making his way across the final screens of Airman stage on his route to fight Flashman, who's going to be pretty much a pushover by what Kammesennin did to him. Kammesennin is closing in on his descent towards the quick beams. as these guys are professional Mega Man randomizer players. These beams should hold no problem, especially since the beams are randomized.
Now, here's the thing that I think I just recognized, and you know, I may be wrong. That's not surprising if I am. But if I remember, in Vanilla Quickman stage, the lights go out in that room, the transition room between these sets of beams and the previous sets of beams. So was something that was also adjusted for the randomizer, that these rooms don't go black?
Basically, because the fact that area used to be held by Chanky Makers, and Chanky Makers also trigger how the lights work at that stage, but since the randomizer randomizes enemies, there's really no need for that. So the lights will stay on even if there are Chanky Makers throughout the entire stretch.
Yeah, it was just something that it kind of just occurred to me. I don't know why.
So we got Airman in Quick Room, as we already know. Kammesennin is a little bit low on health.
Oh, being risky. Oh, and he pulls it off. Beautifully done. As MetaLow has to go through the elevator rooms in Crashman stage, and Kammesennin joining him. So far, very good runs up from both our runners. We got a good matchup going on with this Buster only.
Yeah, we're dealing with runners that have close to equal skill levels in their craft. So the fact that these two are so close to each other, at least a couple of screens behind each other, in a Buster only match, in this kind of scenario, is pretty much amazing.
It really is. And you know, one of the other things that I was thinking of was how, you know, you deal with, you know, using these zips and doing these zips, and that's what, you know, definitely clocks in these good times. And we're probably going to see this crash well below sub 20. Especially with the pace that both our runners seem to be going at. And that's something that a lot of these runners that we have who do zips have trouble reaching. This is kind of like seeing almost like what it would be like towards the final end brackets. And it's sad because you're right, this group does have a lot of good runners.
Let me remind you, this stage is usually very notorious because there are usually lots of enemies that can block you, since this stage is very vertical, like rabbits, shrimp, those kinds of enemies that block your way while going vertical. It's very fortunate that this randomizer seed did not have any of that. This seed would be a very rough stage if that was the case, especially under Buster only conditions.
Now, had they opted to get that E-tank, they wouldn't have been able to use an item to jump up to the second ledge. They would have to go back down and around.
Yep.
Ugh.
So I think that they're probably not going to be going for that E-tank whatsoever unless they're extremely desperate, but that would be an insane time loss if they choose to go for it. Got a very Buster susceptible Heatman, which is very fortunate. Heatman would be really, really long if he was the particular one that didn't have a Buster soft weakness.
And you know, that sets us up into going into Wily. MetaLow clocking in at Wily.
So, of course, since we know Wily won, everyone that's been around this randomizer tournament should know what time it is. So
everyone who's been around Retro.
Well, they got to by now. We've been doing it pretty much the entire tournament. So yeah, everyone, get your color palettes out because we're gonna guess the color of that Mega Dragon. And as always, for extra credit, we're gonna guess that weakness as well. So
I am going Barbie palette this time. Simple pinks, maybe a yellow in there. But yeah, light pink, dark pink, yellow. And
what? No convoluted color set?
Believe you me, I was thinking about going coral and then magenta, but I end up
all that convoluted. Those are relatively
those are
no
common
colors.
house paint colors. I know. Once we came up with the once we'd done away with the RGB and went, you know, CYM.
But yeah, you also got a weakness for the dragon as well.
Oh, right, the weakness. Right. You know what? I'm gonna try and bless our guys and hope for a buster.
Well, let's hope that. But I'm not gonna be as kind. I don't think the dragon's gonna be Buster weak, and we're gonna have him be weak to whatever kind of heat we. Oh, that's gonna be nasty.
Ooh, and having to have to just brute force this.
This is the exact situation we talk about in Risk to Randomizer being Buster only. You get enemies like that that can pretty much impede your process. But fortunately, MetaLow was able to brute force it. So Kammesennin, we're gonna see what
he has less health than MetaLow did climbing that. That could be and I don't even think he has an E-tank, does he?
Well, we got a green and purple dragon.
Hey, I still see. I guess I won't call that magenta. You're right. It's green and purple. Green and light purple.
And it's not Buster weak, so they are forced to dig for weaknesses. To know they always have to search Buster first before finding a weakness.
I totally didn't see how Kami got past that. You know, he's on Kami's screen. He does kind of have a yellowish tinge. I mean, I wasn't too far off with my pink and yellow.
He's probably more of a greenish yellow.
He is more of a greenish yellow. He's not like
Well, we find Crash is a weakness for the Mega Dragon, but we got Charged Heat being the second weakness for the Mega Dragon.
Unfortunately, had Kami picked Crash, that probably would have gotten him down a little bit quicker, but he still makes quick work of him.
So MetaLow and Kammesennin are still pretty much right on each other's heels as they go into Wally 2, so they cannot check for wall weaknesses here. So they're gonna have to keep going. The only reason that they can't do it, is because right now they can't afford to do it. The only reason they do so, they can only check for wall weaknesses when they fight Boo Beam, because then it will be 100% necessary to destroy walls. It's not necessary to destroy walls at this point.
Although, if it's wood or metal, is it still 100% necessary to destroy walls?
No, it is not. If they able to do Leaf Shield or Metal Blade, or if the randomizer so chooses Air Shooter, then they have to find the means to destroy it without destroying the walls, because it's not Buster weak.
So I guess it's whether or not it would be more relevant for our players to even hunt for those types of weaknesses.
Mello going to Pico, assuming that he went straight to Quick Boomerang. The Pico Toasters were not weak to Buster.
Pico Toasters.
Kammesennin finding out the bad news. Now he's about to do weakness hunting, where he finds Air Shooter, but he finds that Air Shooter didn't feel dependable, so he's gonna do some more weakness hunting as MetaLow defeats Pico.
That is a bouncy bubble.
Well, it's definitely a high arcing one.
3 bubble shots.
So we got MetaLow going to Wally 3. Wally 3 may or may not be dangerous, but right now it's looking pretty tame with our Squirm 2 pacemakers.
Ooh, Kammesennin taking a death to Pico. That's gonna set him back something fierce.
Yeah, Pico is easily one of the more dangerous bosses to deal with in the randomizer. Pico dealing so much damage and weaknesses being very undependable at times if the sea so chooses. And he probably wants to save those E-tanks. I believe I only saw 2, and there can be quite a lot of things that can really impede progress because they're only restricted to the Buster.
Now, I had also thought that they had to stick to an item once they found an item. Very intimidating looking guts tank we have here.
Which is also not Buster weak, by the way. So popping in the weak. Oh, go on ahead.
I was just saying, apparently the seed might not be too kind to them when it comes to the boss rooms.
At least for the Wally stages, but MetaLow does find the air shooter, and since it was a 3 tornadoes burst, it's actually a pretty good weakness for Guts Tank.
Now Kami ain't gonna have a air shooter to test the Guts Tank with, unless he happens to take a refill.
And he goes right back to Bubble to finish Pika Pika off, while MetaLow is augmenting his lead thanks to Kammesennin unfortunate accident, as now MetaLow goes into a very bluish Wally 4.
See, and to me it looks like a very, almost periwinkle. Oh, interesting zip MetaLow had pulled off over there.
MetaLow wisely knowing where the indentions between the potential pitfalls are successfully jumping, so he wasn't falling in the pit, but a shot me right at the ladder. Seeing that he doesn't believe he can climb up properly, opts to use the flash stopper since it's a non-attacking weapon and decides to climb up that way. We're gonna see what Kammesennin does at that point and see if he opts for the same thing, but I am not too surprised at MetaLow's options.
Even from a first choice standpoint, I mean, immediately seeing them, are they going to work like clockwork to shoot you down every single time? At that exact moment that you get up the ladder?
The odds are very high that that would happen because of the arc range of the shotman.
Now, the arc range don't last long enough for you to, like, get down and get back up, maybe even if you grabbed it a little high on the ladder?
Nah, they pretty much got 3 shots to try to pluck you off before they change angles. So the odds are very high that they can shoot you, especially from that range.
Big setback that Kammesennin has a tendency to find the slower weapons just kind of going down the list, as opposed to kind of randomly trying the quicker ones first. Or is our heat... Oh, I was gonna say, is the heat coincidentally weak in this randomizer?
It depends on the weapon drain from the heat that is gonna be fast or slow. But regardless, we have MetaLow going into the boobing cannons, about to decide to find the wall weakness now. And it's metal in this regard.
Didn't bother testing the boo beams. I would wonder whether the quicker maneuver for that would be to test wood and metal first on the boo beams to see if you could get around, you know, not really even destroying the walls. Although at that point, they would still at least have to use an item, right?
Yeah, from the looks of things, Leaf Shield and Metal Blades were not even chosen, so they would have to search for wall weaknesses anyway to try to...
Kammesennin immediately coming up with the same choice MetaLow did, only getting hit by that shot man once.
So yeah, if both players realize that they need to use flash at that section, then it's guaranteed that the shotman will always pick you off whenever you try to climb that ladder in that kind of format. Not without an item to help clip you up higher, or use the time stopper to, you know, keep the enemies from firing at you.
Interesting. So for those of you running, if there's a shot man at the top, he will always hit you.
So we got MetaLow going through our refights right now, while Kammesennin is on the final screen, well, next to the last final screen of our moving platform sections. So MetaLow pretty much has a good stranglehold on this first race, which is always going to be best of 3. So, but this is going to put very much importance on the Wally machine. Because remember, the Wally machine does have a chance to be Buster immune.
50%, correct?
Apparently.
Apparently. That's kind of how I feel about it, too. Ah, Kammesennin forming a little help. Not a bad idea at all.
Now, Kammesennin is going to be Now we know he's gonna have to dig for weaknesses for both the walls and the moving cannons. But you're
Okay.
always gonna at least check to see if Buster is the weakness for the walls before checking Buster for the boo beams.
Doing a nice pause buffer here to avoid getting hit, as MetaLow is in Crash Man doing Dumb Crash. He's beefy and you know, got some built-up natural innate strength, but being dumb, he gets taken down super quick. Kammesennin finding Metal Blade.
So MetaLow is on his 7th Robot Master. Once he beats Woodman, he's gonna be on his last Robot Master. Then we're gonna see if the Wild Machine is gonna be a determining factor in how close this race is gonna be.
Finding the quick boomerang.
MetaLow finished with his final Robot Master. We're about to see if the Wild Machine is gonna be naughty or nice.
Oh, it's a very nice Lisa Frank Wily machine. I think Wily is a fan of Lisa Frank.
You're gonna need to tell me where this Lisa Frank reference is coming from. You just seen that quite a bit as of recent.
It's back in the 90s reference. They did like all the girl like trapper keepers and folders and stationary type things. And they usually had like tigers or dolphins or kitty cats, but the color scheme is what Lisa Frank was known for, and it's always you know, a vibrant cyan, a nice purple, and like a bright fuchsia or pink. And then sometimes like tones of light green. But it's the color palette for the most part. It's very Lisa Frank.
I did not expect we're gonna get a life story out of this. Holy goodness.
Sorry.
That's fine. At least they killed time while we see MetaLow go through the alien as he passes through Wily 6 easily. It's not weak to Buster, so we're gonna be doing some weakness hunting.
Alright. Well, hopefully, well, the only thing he has out is Flash, so he's got what he needs.
Well, Flash wasn't gonna be a weakness anyway, so there you go. Well, look like Quick Boomerang's doing some work this seed, as the alien is weak to it, and MetaLow is first place with official SRL time of 32 minutes and 31 seconds. And reminder, this is a Buster only seed, and you're getting 32s.
Wow. 32s on a Buster only. Whoop whoop.
So we got Kammesennin still running a little bit behind. He's not too far. If his route is similar to MetaLow's, then it should be his next to last Robot Master.
Kammesennin doing he probably doesn't even know MetaLow won yet, did he? And I do think that they're making pretty good time. As he enters into his Wily machine.
Yeah, Kammesennin had a couple of unfortunate deaths. One in air, and another one in Wily 2. If he hadn't had those 2 deaths, who knows how close this would have been.
Oh, it would have been very close. Especially because one of those deaths set him back pretty far. This would have been a definite nice neck to neck.
So, as we go to Wally 6, as Kammesennin finishes up, you don't mind retelling the history of Lisa Frank again?
Are you actually interested?
Not really. I'm gonna be honest, not really. I was just joking around.
You know what? There might be one other girl out there who loves Mega Man as much as I do, and she would know the reference. Or guys who happen to have their girlfriends forcibly watching this with them.
Now that just sounds so wrong.
Listen, I'm a realistic girl, you know. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and you know, girls back then weren't very avid gamers. I know, because all I hung out with was guys.
But Kammesennin getting the unfortunate news that the alien wasn't busted weak, so he decides to dig a little bit. He looked like he's sticking with the first page, so he will find Quick Boomerang eventually.
Using that E-Tank. Smart move.
And finally find that Quick Boomerang, so he should be done very shortly. A few more hits, and there we go. GG's for Kammesennin as he finishes
GG's
with a
for MetaLow and Kammesennin. I didn't give my GG's to MetaLow. I feel bad now.
Kammesennin coming in second place with official SRL time of 35 minutes and 14 seconds. GG to both our runners. That was a pretty good Buster Only seed. Just some unfortunate situations with Kammesennin that put him very far back, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was sad. I always root for the underdog. I love MetaLow and everything because he's awesome, and you know, I don't know, for some reason I look at his name and I always think of the Kirby guy. But you know, as we have this very sad outro, we have one more race to go through. And in this race, Kammesennin and MetaLow got their warm-ups out of the way, so now we can see a real good, hopeful neck-to-neck. See, and people in the chat do know who Lisa Frank is. You just didn't have little girls in your life, Creed, during that time. That's all.
Well, I was basically filled with a family mostly of boys, so it would be too far-fetched for me not to understand such a concept.
That's true.
So yeah, as always, please follow our runners, Kammesennin and MetaLow. They are some
amazing runners.
Top-notch runners of Mega Man series. Kammesennin mostly with his Buster Only repertoire, while MetaLow is a solid Mega Man 2 runner.
Yeah, and definitely both housing a lot of content for your perusal if you wanted to see. And then, for the most part, Kammesennin, I think, runs practically every single Mega Man game platformer-wise.
Yep, for the most part, Kammesennin.
I don't know if he ever did
Wily
Wily
guy
Wars,
that I know that does every Mega Man game Buster Only. The only guy crazy enough to do so. I don't think I have really seen him try to use a weapon or item unless he's literally forced to.
Yeah, that was one thing I had asked, and it definitely is true. He will only use an item if he is forced to. But even on occasions when I think that, you know, he could use an item, he usually chooses not to.
So, as usual, I like to always ask these questions when we go from C to C. So, Retro, what was your observations about our match 1?
You know, I think that Kami had basically it was MetaLow was able to catch up during a lot of Hitman because of the death he had taken previously in air. MetaLow, I don't think, took any deaths this race, did he? I didn't notice him taking any deaths.
I think MetaLow was absolutely clean throughout the entire race.
Yeah, I think he was. MetaLow just ran a really perfect run. And given the close times, Kammesennin's SRL being... what was Kammesennin's SRL? 35-14?
Generally low 35 minutes.
Yeah, I mean... that could easily have fallen into the 32-33 mark had he not taken those 2 deaths and had that hard time in Heatman. And those things just happen with the randomizer, where we saw Kammesennin have to struggle with the Shotman I actually missed it on MetaLow's screen how he was able to just literally take the lead when Kammesennin was in the lead in Heatman stage at that point. And Kammesennin also happened to have to take that E-tank there. And just somewhere in between that screen transition, MetaLow actually ended up pushing ahead. And I also think a lot of it has to deal with, watching Kammesennin. Both of them are very risky runners in a way that they'll jump on items, or not items, they'll go and jump by just like the tip of their toe onto platforms. And they're really not wasting any space that could add to movement or speed. So, you're talking about like the most finite detail in order to achieve this.
So yeah, we're getting our next channel set up as we get ready for our second race of a best of 3.
Ooh, I know that they're warmed up now. We're gonna have a good run. We're gonna have a good run between two of the, my total opinion, two of like the best runners, hands down. That we have. No offense to anybody else who's watching, because I love all you boys equally. But
Well,
I like the Buster only runs specifically. I get like, it's nostalgic to me because that's kind of how I used to do it as a kid. I would just brute force it, and you forget that there's a pause menu that you can go and change your weapons to, and you just keep trying to tunnel through it. It's almost
we got our countdown on the way, so in a few moments you're about to get started.
Whoop whoop.
Once I clear off everything here, we should be getting really close to getting started.
And